All right, we're back with turn number 3, and as you can see, things are starting to get a little crazy. But crazy in our favor a little bit. Our first sergeant, unfortunately, took a paralyzed hit, so his team that he's got are in disarray, and they dropped. Oops, I forgot. They dropped the radio, so the radio is no longer in their possession. It's outside the Jeep. They threw it out the Jeep because they were so afraid of what was coming in. So he's no longer of use and he can't do anything. That's bad. So we might, I don't know. The radio is outside the farm, and I don't want third squad to risk it, so they're just going to stay where they're at. All right. Okay. So what's the plan this time? Well, the plan this time is we're going to try to get 2nd Platoon, at least the machine gun team. Hopefully this one will live, and they'll be able to move up here, get into the building, and be ready to lay down fire on that heavy machine gun team. These guys are pretty much done for, and that's cool because you don't have to worry about them. We're probably going to retreat these guys to basically make them go away, remove them from play, so we don't have to deal with that mortar anymore, and we'll try to generate a crossfire onto these guys, and we'll probably move this fire team back over to here, so then they too will basically be removed from play because they have no line of sight, and they don't assault any objectives, or they don't assault us at all. They're basically on the defensive. So we're going to move them, and we're going to retreat them, and hopefully that'll work out in our favor. And then maybe next turn we can assault them. That's right, they're pinned. So this, what am I thinking? Let me see if I got one. I do not. So these guys are still throwing down fire down here. Yeah, they're pinned down, but they're still throwing down some rounds. But all of them are pinned, so their VOF final fire then turns to all pinned, so that's a +2 because they're just firing kind of sporadically and wildly, not really aiming for anything because they're keeping their heads down. So that's an advantage we can hopefully use. And so yeah, nothing, no adverse effects on the Jeep. They're just all kind of paralyzed. They're all freaking out, and we'll try to retreat them. And we retreat them, and then hopefully 1st Platoon can basically get this staff team, this HQ staff team, back to full strength, and then get them back out in the field. But that's not to take away anything that the 1st Sergeant did, because he was great, as you've seen. He was great, did his job, and he made a sacrifice. All right, so again, we're going to start with the HQ event phase for us. And there is no event for this turn. That's fine. Next, we're going to activate. So again, our company HQ is in contact with battalion because that's where we're at. That's where battalion is. That's how we contact them. It's in the staging area. So we're in contact. They activate. Let's see what they get. 5 + 1, that's 6. Good stuff. 6 commands, so that means they go from, oops, I guess I didn't put the save commands on there. So they go to 7. All right, 7 commands. This is a lot of commands to deal with. So from the get-go, again, we're just gonna activate 1st, 2nd, and 3rd platoon, and then we're actually gonna activate our XO. Mostly because we're gonna move our mortars up a little closer, because we're gonna try to put down some more rounds on that heavy machine gun team, and they only have long range, because as you can see, this is a very long range with the V, and they can only go to adjacent. So if we were able to, this is our limit of advance. So we can't go any farther because our company, or not our company, the rest of our or other companies on our left and right flanks, that's where they're stopping, and they're not going to support us. So that's where we have to stop. So if we were able to, I would have assaulted this position because that would render the mortars ineffective, and we could probably take those out. But again, that's the plan. So we activated those 3. I'm sorry, I'm talking too much. So we've activated those 3. 4 is the XO. So we're gonna do it in order. So we're gonna start with first platoon. So first platoon, they too get 6 commands. That's great. That's too many, but that's okay. What was it, 6? So they go to 8 commands. Then, I'm sorry I didn't show that. And we get a reshuffle, but we're gonna finish out our activations first. Second platoon, they only get 2. Oh boy. Well, they don't need that many anyway. So second platoon, what is that, 5? So they put a 7. And then third platoon, what do they get? 3. So that's not good. Well, third platoon doesn't really need that much anyway. So third platoon gets 3, which they cap out at 9. And then the last one we're going to activate is our XO, which they get, they're undercover, so yeah, they get 4. So 4, where's XO? Okay, so that goes up to 6. Again, usually all these, you don't go past 4 with the first mission and pretty much the second mission, because nobody's undercover. Anyway, so that's it. I'm gonna go ahead and reshuffle, and we'll be back. All right, we got our reshuffling done. We've activated everybody that we need to. Now we are gonna start getting some commands done. Right. So, first platoon. Yeah, okay, so we can still see into that card. And I'm not worried about short rounds because we're gonna retreat them anyway by the time the artillery rounds start falling. Okay, so that's the first command I'm gonna do with first platoon. Is we're gonna talk to the guys upstairs, the spotters upstairs, and they're gonna draw 3 cards. And we're gonna see if, yep, they're consistently just number 3. They're just calling down artillery round after artillery round after artillery round. They're on top of it. I'm really liking these guys because most of the time they don't follow through. They don't come through for me. Or one time they had short rounds and called artillery fire basically on 2 squads, and it didn't work out very well. Everybody was in shambles. All right, so that's great. So we have another artillery fire mission planned, and I'm really excited about that. Hopefully we can get something to work. We didn't get a battalion mission this time. That's okay. We don't really need it. So what do we want? What do we need? What do we need? We are gonna start, because that's out of their, I think that's out of their range. Yeah, it is out of their range. So they can't fire it out on anything anyway. Oh yeah, this turns into, from small arms turn all pinned, because these guys are pinned down. So they still are producing a volume of fire. It's just not as good. So if we can retreat them, we can get rid of that volume of fire and give us a better chance. Especially if we get some general commands. So what are we gonna do? Let's talk to the squad upstairs, and we're just gonna say, hey, come on downstairs. They're moving within cover, so I don't think that constitutes as being exposed. But that does, I think, require an order, because just about every action that you do does require order. There are hardly any free actions that I know of that you can just do freely. Okay, so we're gonna move them downstairs. We're gonna prep them to move out. And so yeah, those are the 2 retreats that we're banking on. They don't have anybody paralyzed in their area as of yet. They will next turn though. So we may have to wait for that. So we're not going to do any more commands for first platoon as of yet until I think of something. So let's start doing a second platoon. So the first thing that second platoon is going to try to do is rally. Oops. Oh, shoot. I'm going to say shoot. This is where second platoon is supposed to be. I wasn't paying attention. Was not paying attention. I'm sorry. So I had the third platoon in the wrong spot. All right. There's 2 third platoons saved commands. That was my bad. Or third platoon commands. Anyway, so second platoon, they're going to spend 1 order to try to rally this paralyzed team. They're aligned, so we're going to have 2 draws. Okay, great. So they rallied. So what do they rally to? Well, they go from a paralyzed team, and they should rally to a litter team. That is the next one up. So they're still a limited action team. They still can't do much. But at least we're 1 step closer to trying to get them back. All right. Next, we're going to move. We're gonna hold off on moving up our machine gun team because these guys are. They may not have a target. So what we're gonna do is just use the command to move these guys. This reduced squad up 1. They suffered a casualty last mission, and we haven't received replacements yet, so they're under strength. So we're going to move them up 1. They're going to, yet again, become exposed. Each movement they do exposes them, and we're going to use that 1 command. All right, so that squad will then open up fire. I'm just going to randomize it because I don't want to have to decide because they're both pretty much the same shape. All right. Let's randomize again from left to right, 2 to 1, or 1 and 2. So they're gonna left to right. I should say it's 3, but in any case, 3 is a 1 anyway. So out of these 3, they're gonna fire on this machine gun team here. So this no longer goes to an all pinned. This goes back to small arms, and because it's coming from 2 different cards, they're now under a crossfire. So that actually helps out. But the crossfire will probably go away. Yeah, that crossfire is going to go away, so let's not get too attached to that modifier there. All right, so I don't know if we can continue on to doing to rally these limited action teams. Let's see. Well, it doesn't quite say, but we'll come back to that and see what's what. So we have them there, and this is a bazooka team that took a hit, right? So yeah, we're losing people, but it's small people. We haven't lost an entire squad yet. All right, so what is 3rd platoon doing here? What kind of actions do we got going on? Do we have going on over here? Because I don't know what to do with what this whole business is about here. I could move. Yeah, we're just gonna do this first of all. They're gonna return fire, and it's gonna be small arms fire. So just to make sure I remind myself. Okay, finally got one. So they get a small arms fire. They're trading fire. So we'll see what happens with that. And then over here, we're going to change this to, they're gonna trade fire, and then this is an automatic weapons. So let's grab this. This will be automatic weapons. And again, we're gonna try to retreat them so they'll go away. Again, because we have time to do it, and really we're only trying to assault this position, which is under some intense fire right now. Some intense fire, so we'll see what we can do with that. I really I might just assault it this turn. Nope, because we have to make them go away. Right. So let's not get ahead of ourselves. So I don't know anything what else to do with these guys. So for the Company XO, we're just going to use 2 commands to move everybody from this card to this card. We are still within our step limit. Step limit should be 16 steps. And they can't be in the building. At least the mortar team can't be in the building. Because you can't fire mortars from under a roof. That just makes sense, right? So those guys will be exposed, and they won't go undercover at all either. All right. Now, if the sergeant had stayed active, he could have actually acted as a spotter in this case, because or have a radio. But then again, we don't want to waste 2 commands to move them out of cover, pick up the radio, then move back into cover. Actually, that's 3 commands to do that. That's too much. So that radio will just stay on the map for now until I figure out if we can get the first sergeant back in order. Right. So we used our XO. XO doesn't have anywhere to spot. So, and they can only move once. So my next plan of action is to probably put them up here, and then act as a spotter for the mortar team, because then the first platoon has a radio, so they could communicate between each other to do that. All right. Okay. So that's all I can think of to do. And I think the 3rd platoon, didn't I do anything with the 3rd platoon? No, I didn't. And yeah, the cover limit's been reached, so they don't need to find any more cover. Yeah, this is a difficult situation. And we're not going to move this fire team. They already have a cover of +2, and if we move them into cover, they'll be exposed, and then it'll be a cover of +1 for that turn. So if they can retreat, if we can force them to retreat, that's amazing, right? Or maybe they couldn't retreat because they were unpinned. They were still pinned, so they couldn't retreat. Isn't that what it said for the mutual? This is super late. Yeah, it says retreat any non-pin, non-captured, paralyzed team under VOF. To 1 card with better cover and mark exposed. Well, there was no better cover in this case, but so we kind of goofed that one. My bad. So they should have stayed pinned until this turn, and then retreated on this turn, and then been reconstituted on this turn. Dang it. Okay, well, this probably would have happened anyway. That's okay. The rally probably would have happened. See, I can't think of anything to do. I want to move the entire platoon up. But if I move the entire platoon up, then everybody has to take a draw on if they get hit or not. And those are odds that I'm not wanting to face right now. I don't want to do that. So that's the dilemma. So I'm not going to do anything with their platoon. They're just going to lose commands, the maximum that they can save. So we're just going to go ahead and save their 6 because they can't do anything. First platoon has spent some. Second platoon has spent some. I'm so stuck because it's just what's going to happen. So that's it. The first sergeant doesn't activate at all. He gets no impulse because his team is having some issues. So let's go ahead and move on to the general impulse. So general impulse, we get 3 commands. For that, we use the lower, and that's unmodified. So we're going to do what we planned. Let's stick to the plan, right? So we're going to move this team. We're going to move them back here. they've done their job. They've scouted out the position. They found out that there's a machine gun team, and they're retreating. So they're okay. Okay. These guys are pinned. They are going to retreat actually over here because this doesn't have a volume of fire, whereas this one does, and I don't think that's an eligible move. So we're going to move this fire team with the paralyzed team that they have captured back here, and we're going to mark them as exposed. Okay, there we go. And they're exposed. So they did their job. They scouted out, they found out this position, they retreated. So this PDF, that goes away. This crossfire goes away. So yeah, not to get too attached to it. But since they retreated, they didn't notice, so they're still firing on here, and they're going to waste their ammo. And they can't, and this is where their line of sight stops because they have no clear path because of the borders. Okay, so that's how that works. So we move those back. So that's 2 commands that we did. It's 2 commands. Now these guys are pinned, and we should be able to retreat them. Let me see. Pin, paralyzed team. So they have, yeah, they don't have no PDF. They can move to adjacent only credit siege area. Was friendly occupied and has no volume of fire on it. Yeah, so that's a legitimate move. They're scared out of their minds, and they're gonna just drive on back. it's so weird. So they're gonna drive back. First sergeant says that's enough. We're gonna take a breather. So they're exposed. Now let's just make sure that we're okay with our step limit, I think. Right, okay, so let's see, that's 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay. But yeah, so we haven't hit the 16 step limit yet, so they can all stay. So we retreated some people, and that's okay. We're doing all right. And so this turns into this volume of fire goes away. Just got to make sure I gotta keep track of everything and everything's going. I guess that's one of the complicated things of the game, is just keeping track of everything, updating everything when you need to. All right, so that all looks good. So that's the general impulse. That was action number 3. So now's the enemy HQ. Yeah, enemy HQ. So let's draw for that, and no event. Good. Next is the enemy activity check segment. So we have a ton of cards to look at. So from left to right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 cards to resolve before we can move on. So sticks. Let's go to number 1. So this is number 1, and let me get my chart. Yeah, that's it. So let's see. Assault team, fire team side. Is this the limited activity? Yeah, it is limited action teams. Good lord. Let's see, not on a fire and no line of sight to unit. Remove unit and place a potential contact marker. So, like I planned, these guys don't exist anymore. They retreat off the map, and there will be a potential contact marker placed on there, but because that's too far left, nothing gets placed there because it doesn't make sense. Okay, so this goes away. All right, see, pretty sweet plan, right? Now we have 5 more to go. 5, 2. So let's do that. 1, 2. So again, these guys, they don't have a line of sight to anyone. Yeah, they don't have line of sight to anyone. So they get removed from the map. So they didn't spot anybody. We didn't spot them. That's okay. So that's been resolved, and a potential contact marker will go on that. But again, we can't advance past that because of this marker. That's our limit of advance. Okay. So now we've gone down to 5. Let's go down to 4, 4, 1. So this one, they're pinned down and trading fire, but first we have to do limited action charts. So they are pinned. They're pinned under cover. So I think that's it. Yeah. Yeah, so they are just pinned under cover. So on a roll of 4. So on a 4, let's see what we get. There's no leader on the card, so nothing. Let's see what happens. So on a 4, they get a 4. I think that's a rally. What was it? Pinned under cover. Oh no, it's a fall back. Yes. Okay. That means awesome. So they retreat. They're exposed. They go away. So they don't waste any ammo. But at the same time, this changes to that, and this changes to nothing. So we forced them to retreat. Or actually, this squad really held it down at the farm. They forced them to retreat. Good on them. Good on them. But in that case, they actually don't open fire here because there's nobody there. There's nobody there. Okay, so that updates. So we just need to really take this and we're golden. And then we just have to make sure we don't have any contacts up there as well. All right, so that was that one. How many do we have left? 3. So on a roll of 3, 1. Good, so here they are, they're pinned. And they can't see. But anyway, they're pinned anyway, so they're pinned and they're undercover. Yeah, they're pinned and they're undercover. So let's see on a random of 4, 3. I don't know what that is. That's probably rally. Pinned undercover at a 3. Yeah, that's rally. So they are gonna draw twice. Look for that rally icon rally text. So they do. They get themselves together, so they're not pinned anymore. But again, they still can't see because they're under artillery fire. But they got themselves back together. Now on a draw of 2. Let's see, 2. It would be number 2. So this entire card here, this casualty team doesn't do anything. They can't do anything. These are all the guys that were either wounded or killed. So the paralyzed team, let's see. So let's see. Paralyzed team, not on an occupied card. They don't do anything. They're not doing anything. I thought that they would fall back, but I guess not. I guess they just stay there, which is kind of dumb. They should. Or actually, they'll probably retreat on the mutual capture and retreat phase, but they're pinned. So let's try and, if we can, well, let's see what happens to this guy. So for him, because that was auto, I'm not going to do a random draw because there's no other draws to do. So for this fire team that's trading fire, let's flip that over. He's not pinned. Remember? So he's trading fire, and let's go see from the top. If we go from the top here, and they're not under fire, or no, they are. They are under fire, but they're not under cover. And then it's hasty tactics. So on a draw 5, let's see what they do. On a draw 5, they do number 2. And where was I? They draw number 2. What was that? Attempt to seek cover. So instead of retreating, they're going to dig in. So they'll draw 3 cards, just like we would for cover. 2, 3. I almost said that said cover, but it just says contact. So they fail to find cover, so that nothing happens. Okay. All right, and this is the last one. So for the 3 that are in there, well, let me see what litter teams do. Because if they have an automatic one, then we'll just do that for the litter team. So litter team with no casualty in line of sight. Oh, they do have casualty within line of sight, technically. So litter team with a casualty. in line of sight, they can move towards the closest casualty. That's amazing. Or fall back to evacuate a casualty if they have a casualty on the same card. That's actually really neat, because I never really had a litter team generate before. It's mostly been paralyzed and casualties. So that's really cool to see that they would actually try to move and get casualties out. All right, so they have one within LOS. So let's see, on a draw of 3, it's a 2. So with the LOS, they move to the closest casualty. All right, great. So these guys move from here. They go over, or maybe not, because they're pinned. Dang it, I forgot, they're pinned. They're pinned first. And they're pinned, are they undercover? Yeah. So on a 4, well, on a 4 on here, it was a 2. So a 2 is, they don't do anything. Never mind. And I don't know why I did them first. My bad, I was supposed to randomly draw to see which one. All right, so what about the fire team? They are also pinned in undercover. So let's see, on a draw of 4, that's a 1, which means I think they do nothing. Yeah, they do nothing. So that's it for all the enemies. Enemy attack or enemy activity check segment. Good stuff. So mutual capture and retreat phase. Nobody retreats because pretty much everybody is under cover. Did rally to the litter team, the one guy, so they're okay. Let's see. And then we do, okay, so update fire missions. Right. So now, these go away. That's far away. So those go away. Good. They go away. But this one, there's still artillery coming down on these guys, so they still can't quite see anything. These guys are pinned down. There is someone within their line of sight. So this bullfire team is going to have small arms fire, but the small arms fire is going to be an all pin small arms fire because they're ones that are eligible to fire. They're all pinned down. Okay, that's how that works. And that's how that works. So we've done that. Do we have potential contacts to do? Nope. So next turn is going to be a huge turn. We're going to start moving a ton of people out. All right, and we're probably going to leave the artillery forward observer in the top. Okay. Maybe not. Maybe we'll have to move because he has to directly observe in order to call down fire anywhere. But okay, so we don't have any potential contacts, but we're gonna have our combat. So let's see what happens to everybody. Nothing there. So out of 2, let's see who we resolve first. Out of 2, the second one. So these guys over here, we're gonna see out of the 2, which, because casualties, once they're casualties, nothing really happens to them, because that's the worst. So out of 2, which ones are we gonna do? 2, the paralyzed team first. So the paralyzed team, their pins, that's a +1, plus a +1, that's a +2. So on a +2, what happens? Miss. So that pinned goes away. We'll just take that away because the casualty, even though they can't move anywhere. Okay. Next, this small team, so we can move them kind of closer in this orchard here. So that team, it's just a +1. Let's see what we get on a +1. That's a pin. So they are back to being pinned down, and this does not change because, again, all this combat is automatic. So we'll keep this, and then we'll just have to remember to change this VOF. All right, and what's next? I don't know. This guy. There are 3 that need to be checked. So out of the 3, 1. So we'll do left to right, bottom to top. So litter team goes first. So that's the number 1, and they're pinned. So it's a +4. Oh wait, no, we're over here. So let's ignore that. So over here we have a +2 with a -5. So that's a -3. -3. Hit. Not surprising. But I've seen, and see, there it is. There's the short. I do not like that one. Short round. But anyway, so that's a hit. So we're going to draw to see what that hit is, and they're aligned, and they downgrade to a litter team, which is amazing. All right. Litter team. Got it. So these guys get replaced. Litter team. Awesome. That was the biggest threat that we had. And so they are now pinned. Right, so they have no weapons. They're basically there to just evacuate casualties. That's all that means. So they're no longer combat effective. All right, so that's the 2. All right, so that's it, just 2. Okay. And we should be getting the redraw soon at some point. So hold on. Just checking on a couple of things. I'm sorry. I'll probably edit this out. No, I will edit this out. All right, so these are the 2 that have VOFs on them. And let's start the draw. So out of 2, reshuffle. All right. All right, we're all shuffled up, and we're going to continue on in our combat effects. So let's see, out of 2, which one we do first? 2. On the right side, because I couldn't remember if I did that or not. Took a little break. Right, so on the right side, we have 2 that need to be resolved for. So out of those 2, starting from left to right, 1. So we start with the fire team first with a small arms volume of fire, so that's a +2. Here we go, +2. That's a pin. Not as bad as I thought, actually. So these guys are pinned down. All right, next one is a +3 because they're undercover. So a +3, that's a miss. So cover really did the trick, I suppose. All right, now what do we need to do next? These guys, so they're exposed. So that is a, oh dear. Oh, it's a +3 anyway. Right, so +3. +3, oh boy, I've seen terrible things happen. All right, +3, that's a miss. All right, so nothing happens there. So, all the combat has been resolved. We can then remove all of the exposed markers. So here, we got one here. And I know we have a whole slew of them in this card here due to our genius master plan to remove so many of these units. Also, I'm probably not going to advance to the objective until these guys are removed. So these guys will be removed on the next turn. I probably should have retreated these guys as well, and I probably will on the next turn to kind of wrap this mission up, because we only have 1 potential contact to resolve over here. And I feel like we can get into a really good position when we resolve that, and we can then capture our objectives, which is the village and the hedgerow, which kind of covers the flank as well, and also we can see out into the fields down yonder. Okay, so that's turn number 3. Turn 3. So we removed everything. I just want to make sure I got everything. So we removed all that stuff. Yeah. And does anybody have any ammunition to tack off? No. But I did use artillery, so we do need to mark that off. So we used, there we go. That's basically, so 3 fire missions used for our 15th field artillery, which we have more, but in this case we have enough. All right, and then as we take a look through all this stuff, yeah, I totally forgot which ones were removed, so we'll just say whatever. Let's see, the 3 LMG, are they still up, or are they? Yeah, that's the 3 LMG. So they're still up. They were paralyzed. They go to a litter team. This one we'll say is the casualty paralyzed team, the 1-1 platoon. We'll say that's the one that was paralyzed. Litter team and a fire team. I guess this last one turns into a fire team as well. And then, oh yeah, these guys retreated. We'll do that as retreat. Oh, dang it, why mess it up? So, oh well, they retreated. So that accurately reflects, for the most part, what happened on the front lines today. All right, so we got all that up to speed. We haven't used any mortars, rockets, or any more machine gun ammo. So then we can turn this from turn 3 to turn 4. And then we'll start on turn 4.